Amazon, UPS, FedEx, the post office. Let's see what's going on with them right after this. Ah, yes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, November 17th. Yesterday was my son's birthday. Here, let's remove the windshield here. 22 years old, man. Can you believe that? It's not me getting older that makes me feel old. It's my kids getting older that makes me feel old. So, anyways, let's fix a few things on this live stream here so we don't get in trouble. And also so we don't get any dumbness in here. So let's do this. I hope all is well. It's we're going to talk about Thanksgiving freight, but I also want to talk about Amazon, FedEx, UPS, and all that stuff. So a lot of things going on in the industry right now, and some it might create panic. But I want to point out something on one of these measurements that we use to create panic. And it all check. Hey, it all became. It was all a decent idea because of a conversation I have with my wife. My wife and I have really good conversations in the morning. We have good conversations all the time, but we've been together 25 years now, and to still have lengthy, great conversations is it's good to have someone like that in your life. So if you get that, don't ruin it, right? Because it's hard to find. Oh, let's take care of that. And then I'm going to show you a trick on the 123 low board when we get to the low board section of the show. I've been talking with Lauren on getting the anywhere to from anywhere to a specific place. But I'm going to show you a trick that you can use to do that in place until they fix that. So it'll kind of help you. I'll show you how to divide the country, and like a politician, I'll be able to show you how to divide the country and kind of do the same thing. So, and I've got the 123 ready to do it. So, let's see. What else is going on? So, Pale Rider did a video about one of the contractors that handles post office, hauling mail has laid people off. And then I've talked to a couple of FedEx drivers. They're telling me that their work has slowed down. Usually this time of year they're booming. And and then another driver told me his encounter with a UPS driver the other day, telling me about how they've slowed down. So on the surface, you're thinking, oh man, things are crashing pretty hard because FedEx, UPS, and the post office should be booming right now. They shouldn't be laying people off. They shouldn't have slow work. What's going on with that? Now there's a combination of things. So what I have found, if something isn't right or something doesn't make sense, there's a reason. Okay. And so you want to investigate that reason. Like for example, I now have drivers tell me about how they're seeing all these warehouses pop up. And I told these drivers, I noticed that 2 years ago that these warehouses were popping up middle of nowhere, or expanding the outer perimeters of inner cities. And someone had video footage of San Francisco, and all these high-end stores have shut their doors in San Francisco, because they figured out that, hey, they can't make any money there if they're constantly getting robbed, and it's not safe to be in their area. So you notice things like that. You notice big changes, especially with me. I've run the same areas all the time, and when you notice change, it's pretty noticeable. And then when I expanded my running area, which I've been known to do, then I said, wow, there's a warehouse here that wasn't there last time. Wow, there's a warehouse here that wasn't there last time. What's this warehouse for? And so I started taking note of that. And that's when I realized that slowly but surely they were trying to get rid of the JIT model, which is where, to be honest with you, that's where we make a lot of money, especially in the spot market. And so noticing the temperature change, in the market, noticing the trends. Like I noticed that I've been doing a little bit better with the last minute deal early in the morning. I've noticed that's actually been a decent strategy. It's more stressful, especially if you're going by a rate per day and you're doing short haul, because you're looking at all these, you lose one day, you lose your pretty much your week, but on the long haul stuff, maybe the day before you book, but like yesterday I was looking for a load out of Forest Park, Georgia. There was literally 1,000 loads on the DAP board, and there, the 123 had quite a few as well, and I knew it was a good market as far as volume. And so you have to sort through all the crap, and so I would do an experiment. I'm like, okay, Forest Park to Denver, Colorado, 2 loads. Forest Park to Columbus, Ohio, 3 loads. Forest Park to Miami, Florida, 400. I mean, it was like that. And if you wanted to go to the Midwest, you were barely getting above $1.40, $1.50 a mile in van. But if you wanted to go to New England, you might get a little bit more. If you wanted to go West Coast, they weren't paying hardly anything. And so you're literally seeing the trash that no one else wanted, either because of the rate or the location. So I encourage you guys to try to get direct freight or a broker with direct freight out of bad areas, so you can make your money in and out. That's a strategy that has worked well for me and several of our drivers. Also, getting over the backhaul rate to get back in your good spot, you got to get over that. You got to have the mindset to get over that. So, anyways, but I wanted to talk about, you have to, basically the gist of that is you got to pay attention, right? And me not driving has allowed me to kind of get a more aerial view of the situation. I'm like, wow, okay, this is what we're doing today, or this seems to be a trend. And I noticed things before the brokers were starting to, like, I noticed a couple of trends, like the brokers not trusting Gmail addresses. I noticed that trend pretty early. Um, that came out about the time that these dispatch services that were flooding one of the Facebook pages I moderate. And I knew that was going to be a problem, so I paid attention to that. I developed a system for that. And so just noticing things, and so Pale Rider talked about these, this company that hauls mail and how they've slowed down, and then FedEx and then UPS. But here's what I've realized though. Okay, so my son started doing Amazon Flex. Now, if those of you don't know what Amazon Flex is, what it is, it's you deliver packages with your own personal vehicle. You basically become an Amazon driver for a day. And I went with them. I wasn't allowed to get out of the vehicle. I wasn't allowed to handle any of the packages. I was just there observing. What I wanted to do is I wanted to help. I wanted to see what this looked like. But I wanted to kind of give him encouragement because he tried one run and it didn't work out very well. But so I'll go with you on the next one. This is kind of my MO. And maybe I can make it easier, right? And I did. And we did. It took us about 4 hours to deliver about 40 packages. And they were all within like a 5-mile radius, once you got to the first delivery. Now, so what happens is Amazon Flex is you deliver packages in your personal car. So what you do is you pull up to the line. They're very strict at their warehouses, just like it is for truck drivers. And you get in a line, and there's about 20 cars. There's 5 lanes, 4 cars in each lane. It might have been 5 in each lane. And you have to have your 4-ways on. You're sitting there inside the warehouse, and you're not allowed to leave your car until they say, okay, get your packages. And what they do is they wheel the carts of packages to the back of your vehicle, and then they blow a whistle and said, all right, drivers, get your packages. And they open, so you get out and you open the door. I wasn't allowed to get out, so I just had to watch them. And you put the packages in your car, and you look at you try to glance at it. And so you literally have about 20 cars doing this at the same time, every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes. I can't remember. Okay. And then you have to leave one by one, in each column. And so think about that. Amazon made a lot of steps in the last 5 years to eliminate needing FedEx, UPS, and the US Post Office. Now, do they still utilize those services? Yes. But think about that. So there's 20 vehicles with an average of 40 packages each for that 30-minute block that are not going on a UPS truck, that are not going on a FedEx delivery truck. That's what Amazon managed to do. And so when you hear these layoffs in FedEx and UPS and the post office, that's the result. That's how powerful Amazon is. Now, some of it is consumers have backed off their spending, but some of these packages were like a box of Glad trash bags. Like it was in the original box. It wasn't box around the box. It was just the box. You have people that won't leave their house that will order simple things like trash bags and socks and things of that nature. And so Amazon anticipating and creating that's what COVID created was, what? I don't have to leave the house. I can get everything brought to me, whether it's Walmart, Amazon, Home Depot. I'm a part of a service called Roadie where I can actually put stuff in my pickup truck and bring you a load of bricks or a load of wood through a service called Roadie that is utilized by Home Depot, Best Buy, a Tractor Supply, and then the local pharmacy, Walgreens and CVS. And so it's a way to make extra money. Um, I'm not doing the DoorDash thing or anything like that, but but because of DoorDash, because of Uber Eats, because of all these services, you don't even have to leave your house now. And with everybody's anxiety going through the roof because of all these situations that we've gotten ourselves in, that's popular. And Amazon anticipated that. So, what geniusness to eliminate FedEx and UPS, probably your number one costs, and to have the person have their own car, their own gas, their own insurance, none of the risk or all the risk. And Amazon's like free and clear. They get their packages delivered. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds familiar? Lease operators. So it's a model that works. And so that's why you're going to see the slowdown in the big three when it comes to package deliveries, because Amazon came in and we all knew it was coming. If you saw the Amazon trucks, you saw the Amazon semi trucks, you saw the Amazon trailers, and you knew that was going to be a game changer. They are big enough to change the dynamics of this industry, and that's evidence of it. So, we hear these stories, oh, my buddy at FedEx got laid off, or my buddy at UPS, they're slow or whatever. And it makes you think of these, spiraling downhill pretty fast economy things, but Amazon has figured things out and they've changed the system. Those packages didn't go away. Yes, there's probably a slowdown on package deliveries simply because people are tightening their belts. But at the same time, they created a new dynamic, and that's what's happening with trucking. That's what's happening with logistics. That's what's happening in the spot market, especially. Brokers are switching to their own platforms. They're trying to avoid the low boards. They're trying to switch to contract blocks, so they don't have to like look for any Joe Schmo situation like that. So the dynamics are changing. And so being aware of why and how is going to allow you to know the what to do. Because if you're truly ride or die in this industry, you're going to have to adapt and or create to be able to survive. And what does that look like? That only you can answer that. So, all right, let's get to the comments. Let's see here. They had a tag thing, but I guess I can't do it. So, all right. Let's go to the comments. Cheap Freight Holler, good morning. It's Friday. What's up? Greg Zimmer. Morning, Steve from Nashville. Hey, while you're in Nashville, Greg, pick up a Gibson Explorer for me and just send it to the house. You bring it to me, I'll buy you dinner. So I'll take an Epiphone Explorer as well. So if you do that for me, that would be a great Christmas present. Marty, what's up? It's Friday. I thought it was Tuesday. Well, because you're probably all discombobulated. Or maybe you just don't keep track of the days. There's my other channel, guys. If you would, click on that and subscribe and watch me talk about nothing. CDM Freight Broker, good morning, Steve. Thank you for your phone call last night. Jose, good morning. Friday before Thanksgiving week, I hope I can get at least $2 on a weekend load. You can if you go to certain areas. In Holland, tradition is to congratulate the parents on your kids' birthdays. Congratulations. Thank you. Hysteria Meter. Hysteria Meter. Man, that'd make a good band name, I think. I couldn't agree more about a fantastic wife relationship and deep conversation. There you go. Mrs. A says, thanks, CDN. Mr. Charles, good morning. Truck with T-Bone, good morning, Mr. Michigan guy. Tennis Richards, Richardville, good morning. Tiggif, Flatbed Trucker, good morning, everyone. Marty says, the more warehouses, the less over-the-road trucking needed. Teams are needed less with more warehouses built. Yes. So that's a dynamic that is changing. So if you notice the warehouses, that dynamic's changing. And so me dispatching a team for a while, I know what the challenges are of having a team. And the best teams are husband and wife, or father and son, or mother and daughter. Two different households, that ain't going to work. Unless you're on some contracted stuff, unless you're on some stuff that pays fuel surcharge and are contracted and you have to do, the 6,000 miles a week. Now, military contracts where there has to be security, there has to be someone with the truck all the time, that's good paying. Pharmaceutical, temperature control, a lot of guys at Landstar that were teams did that. But you don't see that. You don't see that stuff on the spot market. You don't see, Axle Logistics, giving you a pharmaceutical refrigerated military load, for $1.80 a mile. That stuff's not on the low boards. And so if you're a true team, get out of the spot market or find the brokers that have the freight that requires teams at all times. And that's how you stay moving. And it's a hard life being a team. Just having another person in the truck, man. That was the thing I enjoyed the least when I was training. And as a trainer, we never did the team thing. I was always in the passenger seat if the driver was driving, if the student was driving, and vice versa. There was never a time that somebody was in the bunk while going down the road. So, the last time I had to sleep while someone was driving, when I was riding with my dad. So, but yeah, teams, long haul. Look, JB Hunt announced a bunch of intermodal stuff. I didn't really go into the details. You can watch Asian My show about it. But what you'll find is that they're eliminating as much as they can the OTR. If it can fit on a rail, it's going to go on a rail, especially if it's not time constraint. You got all these warehouses that are full. And so the dynamics are changing. And if you're the guy that wants to go from Pennsylvania to Washington State and back, unless it's multi-stop, you're gonna be challenged to find good rates doing that. And so, whereas 30 years ago, that was the way to do trucking. If you were a truck driver back then, when you left, you weren't coming home for a while, and they realized that creates turnover issues as well. So they want to make it as regional and as short as possible for costs and efficiency. I was this Amazon warehouse. I didn't even know we had one in Springfield. I knew we had one in Republic. They just built. But what they did is Amazon bought the old Coca-Cola warehouse, because Coca-Cola built a new warehouse there, not too far from here. And so Amazon took over this warehouse. It was funny when my son was pulling up. I said, "Wow, this is the old Coke warehouse." He's like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I used to deliver here all the time. I used to spin it out on this strip of the driveway here. So, Pigtail, good morning. Coffee, 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 coffee. Henry Duncan, good morning. Russell Freight Services, hey everyone. Mr. Charles says, short week coming up, plan early and have backup plans the best you can to put yourself in a place to head home. Yes, we will talk that over. We will talk about that. So make sure I go back to that. Shannon says, good morning. Still waiting at the shipper, OMG. 8 hours attention so far. I hope it's a broker that you trust that will give that to you. Make sure you write that on your bills and you have documentation of how long you've been there. I probably would have given up on it. So, but that's the Louisiana. That's the paper mills for you. So, Gary, what's up? Amazon is a low class racket. I don't use them, says Dennis. I know quite a few people that feel the same way. Shannon, I feel your pain. I spent 6 hours at a shipper yesterday. Midwest Mike, I once spent 26 hours as a company driver at a paper plant in Conyers, Georgia. And my son was with me, my poor son. And it sucked. And and the way you back then, the way you checked in was with your CB radio. So you pulled in the lot, you park, and big sign says go to channel whatever. And so you get on there and you handle, hey, guard shack, I'm here for pickup number, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, park there and we'll get to you. And so some small conversation would pop up on the CB, back when people still talked on them. And you had owner operators like, guys, I've been here for 6 hours. F this place. I'm out. And they would leave. I'm like, wow, the ability to do that would be awesome. And so you have that freedom, but is that worth burning the bridge with the broker? Is that worth burning the bridge of the shipper? Is it a fluke, or are they always like that? So I usually give each shipper or receiver one chance. There's no redemption. And and if the second time I go there it's the same way, then yeah, I'm out. I'm avoiding it. Like I had a driver deliver in Kroger in Georgia today, and he was out within an hour and a half. So, by the way, we have the Yeti style mugs on my Teespring. Get yourself one. All right, so pigtail just like a lease. Yes, the Amazon thing just like a lease. Low call, low pay, no benefit. This country is race to the bottom. Right, and that's the thing. UPS has got to pay benefits. FedEx has got to pay benefits. Post office, you got to have benefits. That's why they contracted out. And Amazon's like, we got a way around that. I mean, how many of these mom and pop, one truck, foreign trucking authorities are running Amazon trailers? You know them. They're sitting on the shoulder doing their 30-minute break in the road, or they're doing their 30-minute break on the fuel island. You see those guys, the rattle traps pulling brand new Amazon shiny trailers. And that's by design, folks. That's by design. That's why you got to get your act together, because the intention is to replace you. The intention is to eliminate you. And that's evidence. Ask UPS and FedEx, right? Jojo McBookster, the slowdown has started. Already cancel Christmas. Yeah, there's been a small bump up in reefer, but not enough to rescue anything. And then the van volumes have gone up, but they're really kind of pushing hard on making sure that, like, I mean, they're trying to get you for $25. Like, oh, are you sure you can't do it for $38.65? And like, nope, I'm holding fast at $4,000. And use the volumes to your advantage. You can sit there like, hey man, the DAT shows 1,000 loads within a 150-mile radius. I think I can find something. If you can just get this number up to here, I blah blah blah. Use it as a negotiating tactic. Use the area to your advantage. Now, if you're in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, and there's 2 loads on the DAT board, well, then you kind of got to make a decision: deadhead or take one of the loads, right? So, and the brokers have the information to know that. They have all the information to know that. And if they don't have that, the AI will tell them, hey, there's only 2 trucks at this point in time when that delivery is being made, and guess what? Hold your line, because you can. So Sterling says, good morning. Hope everyone has a good weekend. We're going to try. So being leased to a carrier isn't bad. Just bought my first house last week. There you go, Russell. Good deal. And because you're lease and not buying a truck through a bank, you were able to do that. That's one of the advantages of leasing. There are advantages to leasing, and that's one of them. I don't shop at Wally World either. Another low class. Dennis, we try not to. Sometimes you can't help it, but for the most part, we buy most of our food at Aldi, and then we buy non-food stuff at Dollar General or Dollar Tree, and then every now and then we'll hit a Walmart. There's a few Walmart items I can only get there, like my beard oil and stuff like that. And the high-end grocery stores are getting ridiculous, especially like I try not to buy meat at Walmart, because yeah, I've heard stories, and their meat doesn't look good, and it's way overpriced. So, why is the Explorer so expensive? Flying V is a better deal. Well, let's derail this conversation. But so the Explorer's got more wood on it, so it has more of a tone. I like the Flying V, but they're uncomfortable to play sitting down, and they don't have any tone to them. They're more for the lead players, right? So I remember when a Gibson Explorer was $550, and then within 2 years it went up to $1,500. Now they're like thousands of dollars. I almost had a heart attack when I looked at one recently at the local music store, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me! I guess I'm never going to own a Explorer unless Greg gets me one directly from the factory there in Nashville." I've decided to start a new YouTube channel, Trucking with Apathy, but I'm unsure about it. Oh man, I'm running a dedicated lane as owner operator. There you go. That's a good deal, man. Ride that gravy train until you can't ride it anymore. That's the thing. If you found a good dedicated gravy train, dude, do not give that up as long as you possibly can, because eventually someone's going to take it from you. Shannon learned that lesson here recently. So, my best and worst team experience ever was with my late bride. That would be difficult. TJ, what's up? Mark P. There's at least 5 Amazon warehouses in the South Jersey area near the Delaware Memorial and Commodore Barry Bridges. Marty says, so we might not see a correction for another 2.5 years. The correction is going to look different. There's going to be a new normal. That's the thing. The typical cycles that we've seen in the past, especially people like me that have been in the industry a while. I was talking about this with Provost. This is different because they're creating changes to make sure that 2020 and 21 doesn't happen again. Because the economy can't afford it, the small businesses can't afford it, and the country can't afford it. So they're going to make changes to make this as efficient as possible. They're changing things, and with the geopolitical climate, especially what's going on overseas in both the Pacific, both in Asia and Africa, you're looking at major changes. And when that new normal is created, it will not be to your advantage. It will not be to our advantage. So, Justin, good morning. Come on with it. I'm slammed with freight for the next 6 days. Good deal. Ride that gravy train, right? Ryan says, what's your thoughts on the Huber Heights, Ohio mayor getting rid of a truck stop and allowing Buc-ee's to come in because locals complain about the truck stop? Well, it just shows that it's just more evidence that we are our own worst enemy. There's a lot of Walmarts in Arkansas that had truck parking that eliminated that and put the yellow barriers up because of what drivers were doing to the parking lot. There's a lot of industrial areas that we were allowed to park in. Like, I used to go to Rick and Benkheiser all the time in Mechanicsburg, and you could spend the night in the street. So with the guy with the e-logs, that was a great thing. But now, no parking, and they do write tickets. So Buc-ee's is a major player. It's a major moneymaker. And so it's got the volume, that will make money. And this it's interesting to see the anti-Buc-ee. There's just like a Facebook group that's like anti-Buc-ee, haters of Buc-ee's, truck drivers that hate Buc-ee's, But here's the thing. Buc-ee's is not a truck stop. They don't want trucks on their lot damaging the lot. They don't want their fuel islands to look like crap. Anybody ever fueled or not fueled, but gas their car at a Costco? Man, you can literally eat off the gas pumps. I mean, it's clean, it's efficient. And it'd be nice if truck stops were like that, but the drivers make that difficult. And you know, so evidently the revenue is not worth the damage that the local truck stop is creating. So yeah, Bucky's is. I mean, look at the Speedway there in London. I mean, that place is a crap hole. And the last thing a local town wants is for their crap to look like that. So I don't blame them. That's my thoughts on it. Does it suck for the truck drivers? Yes. Does it suck for the drivers that do take care of themselves, that do take care of the parking lot, that don't damage, that don't do their brakes in the fuel island? Absolutely. But this is why we need to educate people to do better, not just throw a camera in their face and put them on a website. Because that obviously isn't helping. obviously that obviously isn't, creating a change. And so it's part of this paradigm shift of trucker mentality right now. And it's very, and I think Bucky's gets more attention because they're huge. You got 100 gas islands, and it's pretty much a mall when you walk in. We've got one opening here next month, I think December 12th. And I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go take a look. Morbid curiosity after a few days because everybody's gonna line up. Like we opened 2 Whataburgers here in Springfield, and man, there was a line like crazy, And Pale Rider did a thing with the new Chick-fil-A in his town, and people were lining up across. It's like, really? Come on now. It's just fast food. It's just a gas station. But morbid curiosity, right? Come on, what it says, I'll never shop at that gas station. I'm late. Start over, please. Randy Curry. Now, okay, let me go back to come on with it. So that's the thing with Bucky's. Like, Bucky's, there was a guy that pulled up on a bobtail and they actually went out of their way to not serve them until they moved their truck. That was the thing. It's not that they weren't going to serve them as truck drivers. They just didn't want their truck on the property. But what people don't realize is Pilot hates you too, right? Bucky's is putting it out there. We don't want anything to do with you guys, right? But Pilot hates you too. Why? Just look at their fuel islands. Just look at their service. Just look how dirty their facilities are. If I was a Pilot executive and I would go to some of these stores, I'd be appalled of this is what my business looks like. At least Love's, they try to clean them up a little bit, right? And then TA, Petro, they have the people power washing the fuel islands. But Pilot, they don't care. Minooka, Illinois, right? That Pilot, that one in Charleston, Missouri that they finally tore down, that was a crap hole. It was funny. I had a Facebook memory. It's like, man, they just need to level this place. And then 2 years later, they did. So Pilot hates you too, but they're going to take advantage of you. At least Bucky's is like, we're not even going to take advantage of you. So just don't even try. So there's a difference there, right? Jackknife, oh boy, Snorelord, don't talk about those rattle traps. They'll come attack you. Everybody's got to start somewhere. What you do, buy a brand new truck, yada, yada, just because you're an American and don't want to work hard, don't put other people down, yada, yada. Well, a rattle trap can make your carrier have a high safety score because of some out of service inspections. So if they're offended, maybe they need to be offended. I think Mike Muir said it best in Suicidal Tendencies. I'm sorry. If you're offended, maybe you need to be offended. So there you go. My truck is with the third party, not the carrier. Well, that's good. I'll own my 22 Pete in 30 months, right? But because it's written as a lease, it's not going against your credit. So that's good. I'm assuming. That's an assumption. In Texas, all drivers need to hit up the HEB Texas grocery store. You'll be amazed at what they have in their produce. Always Fresh department, always fresh. They do allow truck drivers. There you go. Support the places that support you. I'm also able to get paid every day. Well, that's good. That's how we are here. I would be curious if you speed booked, taking responsible load and focus on turning and burning for a week versus slowly hunting and negotiate for best paying loads. Which week will gross most? Anyone test? That's a great idea, because I think that some drivers, including one that watches me a lot, um, kind of panic books and puts themselves in negative situations. And I don't know how much better the person's revenue is. CDN, I would suspect a hybrid would yield the best results, turning and burning in slow markets and playing the numbers in the busy markets. Yes, I think that's the best combination. That's what I do. What cost, mile, or cost day should owner operators should be trying to achieve in 2024? Well, it depends. That depends. That's a question that everybody needs to answer for themselves. And I know that costs are way too high right now. So drivers do in the parking lots the same things they did to the place they came from. Morning from home, Gen C. Well, welcome home. The pilot in Kansas City is boarded up and pumps are shut off. Wow. On the Kansas City, Kansas side, yeah, that place was. I had to go in there one time there's a shipper right past that pilot, and it took me forever to get to it. And then I want to say I had to scale a load there one time. I was like, "F this place," and it got worse after Ameristar stopped allowing trucks to park there. Um, are you talking about the one next to Ameristar, Russell? Or are you talking about the one? No, that's on the Missouri side. Never mind. Yeah, I know the Kansas one you're talking about. Yeah, that's where my story's valid. Yep. Ever research the history of Buc-ee's? No. Maybe I should when I get some free time. CDN, that's very subjective. I try to net 800 times 5 a week average. There you go. JoJo says Felon owns Buc-ee's. Well, what kind of felon? I mean, there's several kinds of felons. Like, if you look up the history of the place here in Missouri, that in Ozark, that throws the rolls, whatever it's called. Yeah, look up that history. Look at what happened to the owner of that place recently. Jordan B, nothing better going to fuel as you're keying in your information at the pump so you have a P bottle staring you down, right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? I'm scared if the dude's getting out of the trucks at the truck stop. Nothing like a little tool to help you out there. Morning from Omaha, says Alfalfa. Big problem is most of the guys are already set in their ways because that's how they lived before it was normal for them. I get that. Trust me, I get that more than most people do. As far as the ones that grow up here, they're just dirty, depressed, non-life fulfilled truck drivers who don't care and have a bad attitude. Well, that's the majority of America right now, not just truck drivers. Come on with it. Great insight about slow versus busy market. Yes. Trucking along with Kiersey. Good to see you in here. Good morning, Snorelord and all. I see what you're doing with your channel. Good direction. I see you've lost a lot of weight, so congrats on that. So I dislike beavers because of Buc-ee's truck policy. Apparently, Buc-ee's owner's son was caught with cameras at the resorts nobody's talking about. Yeah. Look, if I go in there, it'll be just the same overpriced crap like in any other convenience store, with some vintage style T-shirts or something. It's look, they're a great marketer because everybody's talking about them, right? So there you go. When was the last time we all made a big deal about Rapid Roberts, right? So that's where their geniusness is. Is that even a word, geniusness? Mrs. A, is that like that's their genius? I don't know. That's where they're smart. Truck stops have triple concrete to hold the weight of trucks. Buc-ee's does not. Yeah, because that's expensive. Buc-ee seems to love negative publicity. Yeah, because it gets the name in all the trends. It gets the name in all the trendy Twitter feeds and all the trendy TikTok feeds. And Just like Target. Target is capitalizing off the negative and the positive. So, no, the one by the Waffle House. Yeah, I think that's maybe I haven't been that one. So, is it there off of 635? I think I know which one you're talking about. I don't know. I came on with BT. I like stopping at Buc-ee's with the family. I know they're not going to see trash all over the place and smell urine through the parking lot or use a totally disgusting bathroom. That's true. I don't know about the bathroom. There's some nasty gas stations that don't allow truck parking either, and they're nasty. So they just have a good crew that cleans the bathrooms. The Love's Truck Stop in Gary is a joke. I got a gun pulled on me over a park spot, so I just moved on down the road. Wow. How long ago was that, flatbed trucker? People are becoming unhinged. Desert Companion, good morning. Thank you. I'm from New Jersey, so Wawa is better than Buc-ee's. I used to stop at the Wawa right outside of Allentown there in that whole complex. And a friend of mine used to tell me, "Oh, dude, the lobster bisque is what you need there." And I don't know if I might have gotten it. I don't know. This is before my keto days, but it was always a pain in the butt to park in there though. So it was always, bad news sells, says Stuart. Yep. Not technically a word, I don't think, but we aren't fancy around here. That's true. Rome Land, what's up? Good morning. Wawa rock, says Dennis. Yep. Yeah, I've got a funny story. So this is when I first started trucking, and a friend of mine goes, "Dude, have you been to the Wawa yet?" I'm like, "The what? The Wawa? What? Wawa? What?" And it was like, "Who's on first?" for about 5 minutes, and he was like, "It's a chain. It's a convenience store chain. It's called Wawa." And I'm like, "Spell it." He's like, WAWA. I'm like, "What the hell kind of name is that?" I don't know, but that dude, they have this. They have the best lobster bits. I was just like, the. I was just like, I didn't know, right? Negative publicity is good or better than good publicity in most cases, right? Flatbed trucker yesterday. Oh wow, yesterday. Ooh. Yeah, if I go to Gary, the Petro's the place to be because and that TA I think is better because I think that's where the corporate headquarters is. Maybe I'm thinking. So any place that's located near Gary is not exactly the Ritz for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Wawa is everywhere in these parts, Philadelphia. Yeah. Sorry to say that I'm from that area, and I think Rudders and Sheets have Wawa beat. They've gone too much manufactured food wise. Why? They're all buying from the same distributors, right? Although they did bring back the lobster bisque, which is freaking awesome. I didn't know they'd taken it away. That's how often I run Pennsylvania, right? 53 for Yakima, Washington, 2 PA, $2 super chat. Thank you. We'll take a look at that here in a second. Why not make most truck stops the size of Joplin Petro? Put all the trucks in one location. That is a great idea. I love the Joplin Petro. You can show up at 3 in the morning, you're going to find a spot. You might have to walk 3 miles to go use the restroom, but you know, but and they keep it fairly clean as well. So, Publix is moving in Kentucky all the way from Florida home base. You've never heard of Wawa Pedal? Yeah, I've heard of a Wawa Pedal, but I wouldn't name my convenience store chain after a Wawa Pedal. So there's a reason why the Wawa Pedal is like, do I go in there and go wah wah wah? No, I'd be kicked out probably. Sir, you're gonna have to leave. So that's probably what that would look like. So, but anyways, we're gonna look at Sterling's imaginary load, and then I'll put it on the screen. Calm down. I'll put it on the screen here in a second. Let's go back to his comment here. Whoops. All right. Do. All right, so let's do this for reefer. Relax. I'm going to put it on the screen here. Hold on. All right, share screen. All righty. There's our search for. Let's put it for today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Then we're gonna go over some Thanksgiving strategies. Mr. Charles brought that up earlier. We're gonna visit that. All right, so not much there, Sterling, for the next 4 days. Richland, Washington, 61 miles away to Claysburg, PA. 286 a mile, 71.52 is the rate check. Kennewick to Bethlehem is 7,500, 291 a mile. So the rates keep going up coming out of Washington. Frozen food. So Washington is a man. If I had a reefer, I'd be landing in Washington. So because you're going to get some good rates coming out. Now you're going to deal with the mountains and the weather and all that stuff, but yeah, there's really not much there. So let's. So here's the trick, right? So anybody wanting to see the anywhere to a specific place? Let's do that. So what you do is hit create new search, and you put in on your. So you click on states, provinces, regions map. You know, you may not have this on the app, but if you don't, you can do it this way. So you can click on each of these states. So I'm going to do the eastern half of the U.S., right down the line. Remember, we're going to be like a politician and divide this country, okay? So we're going to do this because you're only allowed 25 locations. That's the problem, right? So we're going to do this here. We're at 24. Let's put in Maryland. All right. Notice I didn't click all the East Coast states because Massachusetts, well, you can, let's take out Maine and do, and throw in Delaware. Or should we throw in Massachusetts? It's a bigger state, so we'll do that. Okay. So now you hit apply. And now you have all those states. Let's say that you want to go to Springfield, Missouri, right? Let's do current location. Okay. And let's do this for the next week. Right? Next week and a half. You hit search. Now you've got all these states to Springfield, Missouri. So I can look here and I can set by highest rate, which will give me all the long stuff. Mendota Heights, Minnesota, Washington, Missouri, 2480. So what I'm seeing is most of the stuff coming into Missouri is going to be short haul, right? Out of the east side of the country. Now, here's what you do. So you create new search and you do the same thing on the pickup, but we're going to eliminate that. And you're going to do states and provinces again, map, and then you're going to click all these western states. That weren't covered when you divided the country like a politician. Okay. Hit apply. This is for reefer search. So now you have these searches saved, right? And you can just go back and forth. So on this side of the country, the highest paying load is $5,400 going from Yakima, Washington to Russellville, Arkansas. That would get me close to the house for decent money, right? Now, as we saw, that's not the same amount of 75 going to Pennsylvania, but you're going like 1,000 more miles, right? Versus Russellville. And so you can, and then if you do the rate per mile, then looks like Omaha to Oshalata, Oklahoma, that's going to be Walmart. It's going to be tough getting out of there, though. So, yeah, it's at $3.66 a mile. Muskogee to Clarksville, another Walmart. So, what this tells me, these are all, a lot of Walmarts being delivered to right now in the reefer world. Evidently, there's a Salt Lake to Kansas City lane that I can count on, but it's only $1.25 a mile for a reefer. That's king of freight for you. And I doubt this is probably more. This is probably only one load. Look how many times they've posted it. There's several Yakima to Clarksville, Oklahoma City to Clarksville. Edge Logistics has that. So, but then as you could see out of the western side, there's not really a whole lot in that time span, right? So we're going to go back to this search, and so you can easily go back and forth. So that's one of the things that you can do, right? So when they get to anywhere thing, I'll be the first to let you know, because I love doing reverse searches like that. Like, okay, and I've done that. Like, I had to get a truck to Phoenix out of the Northeast. And I'm like, well, the rates from the Northeast to Phoenix suck. So I took the highest. So what I did is I did anywhere to Phoenix. What was the highest paying thing? And it was Kansas City. And so I looked out of Kansas City, or I looked out of the area I was in to Kansas City, and that was a better paying load. So I made more money for the driver if we two-stepped it. So that's how you do that. I learned that trick back in the Landstar days. I was taught by a very smart person to do that. So that's the tricks. Like, if you're sitting there in New Hampshire, like, I need to load to Michigan, well, get on the map and say what's the highest paying load into Michigan out of the whole country, and see if you can get a good paying load to that spot and then back up to Michigan. Now, if you're trying to get home at a specific time, it's hard to utilize that strategy. So you're just kind of taking the shorts. Like, if my driver was like, I need to be back in Phoenix by this and this day, then I would have had to, like, okay, here's a load from Vermont to Phoenix paying $1.25 a mile. Too many of those and the person's out of business, right? So it's better the two or even three step something. So that's a strategy that you can use. Now, with the holiday, let's go to the map here, load availability. With the holiday, Thanksgiving, this is Van, hot market map here. So let's say that you want to be home for Thanksgiving. Well, Monday, you should be landing in a spot that's close to Michigan, so you can run some short stuff and then go home. And if you pick a 500-mile radius of where you live in Michigan, you'll get home, because loads start really falling off Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. And a lot of places will go home early, to let their workers go home early, especially if their production down, especially if, and that's something that you have to keep in mind, that is, as manufacturers back off, as retail is kind of slowed down a little bit, they may not be shipping Wednesday morning. I guarantee that my email will be pretty quiet on Wednesday. And you might get lucky with that shuffle, that 3:00 shuffle. But if you're wrong, then you want to be near the house so you can just go home. And then And then when you call in a load that delivers Friday on the 24th, you really need to make sure and verify that the customer is going to be open on Friday. So a lot of times that kind of Thanksgiving running, if I did it, I would make sure that I was picking up or delivering a load that was for Walmart or Dollar General or something like that. So a lot of times there were times that I went home under load for Thanksgiving. You know, a 3-day transit was now a 4-day transit kind of stuff. And so, and I knew that if I delivered Dollar General or Walmart DC, that they're more likely going to be open on the Friday. But there are a lot of places that take that Friday off. So these are strategies that you want to utilize. Be near the house. If that's your goal to get home. Now, if your goal is to run over Thanksgiving because you want to make as much money, then you're going to have to do these kind of searches to maximize your profit. Make sure you're running in good areas and you got a good long run that just runs you through Thanksgiving. So it's like the holiday didn't even exist. But just be aware that Friday and Wednesday pickups and deliveries can be and will be sketchy if not canceled. So you might have a deal where Friday morning you're scheduled to pick up somewhere, then that load cancels on you Wednesday afternoon. Now you're stuck. Right? So just be aware of these things. And this is something I've learned over the years in self-dispatch in both Landstar and Schneider. Schneider had its quirks too with that kind of thing. Luckily with Schneider, it was a little bit easier to deal with because of the drop and hook. But most of the time, I tried to make my money to where I might do a shorty on Monday and Tuesday, and then I was home for the rest of the week. And that was kind of how I did Christmas as well. And then after Christmas, it was on to go work because I don't mind being out on New Year's, and it's the truck stops are fairly easy to maneuver in that time period between Christmas and New Year's. So, but anyways, these are strategies that you can utilize for the holidays, and so these plans should be in place before the end of the day today. You know, where are you landing if you want to be home for Thanksgiving? Where are you landing? That way you're only looking at 300 or 400 miles to get home if your load falls apart. And so just be aware of that. So that's kind of thing. No one's going to pay extra for the holiday. No one's going to pay extra for that day of transit unless it's important. You can use that as a leverage tactic, but most of the time they ain't going to care. You know, only the true professional brokers are going to care about that, and they've already anticipated that. And if you're a shipper, then you probably wanted this ship last week, so you wouldn't have to pay for that holiday spike for a second. You don't want to pay that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All right. Let's go back to the comments here while you guys stare at the van. Um, all right. Oh, wow. You guys have been commenting like nuts. Joplin's got to be the friendliest town in America towards truckers. Absolutely. Same thing with Mount Vernon, Missouri. Trucking with Liberty. How dare I forget about Snorelord's Friday special? How dare you? You must be off your game because you can't even spell right. So, but thank you for calling me Snorelord. Wawa's named after Wawa, Pennsylvania. It's just west of Springfield, Pennsylvania, Baltimore Pike, Route 1. It was a farm at one time. Nothing beats brisket at Buc-ee's. That's all I care for if I can find parking close by. Apples and pears in the Northwest right now. And Christmas trees. Christmas trees are shipping right now. And they can go on van, but you got to deal with icing them down. You'd be on that Washington load for a week. Yuck. I know. That's so weird, isn't it? Liberty. I was told loads are going to get scarce here after Thanksgiving at Tyson, and that it should last until the new year. Yay. It's going to last longer than that, Mr. Jackknife. Those green areas are all the states I refuse to go. James G, what's up? Jojo, they're all green. He's referring to the map when I created, not this one. Jojo is a nut job. So it's acceleration. Stock market has been climbing. I guess it's a scam. I'm going to crash. It's going to crash real good shortly. Yeah, people got to make their last minute money on that. I know my Robinhood's like pathetic. Make it like oh, that's funny. One thing we have confirmed in the past year is way easier to complain about bad rates and bad brokers versus fixing the situation. I know a few of you have fixed your situation, but most complain, right? CDN likes to call me out when I complain about something. He's like, well, here, take action. So, Buc-ee's can go straight to bankruptcy. They won't last. They won't let us park on their lot, buy out land that was dedicated for a truck stop, and also lie to get people arrested that protest on public land. Very immoral corporation. I will never go to a Buc-ee's after seeing how they treat the people that are the lifeblood of our country. Pale Rider agrees. I'm hauling coffee from my kitchen to the studio. Great rates. There you go. It's too bad we can't get Snorelord to see what we see in Buc. Well, I will. I see Buc-ee. There's a Buc-ee's here in Springfield now. Gosh. I wonder if Buc-ee's competition will carry stickers boycotting Buc-ee's. Well, see, there you go. Make a sticker, and then it says Buc-ee's hates truck drivers, and plaster them all over the fuel islands. And see if that doesn't bring your attention. Wimpy McPote, use your trailer as a storage facility for the weekend. Yes, that's another strategy. Do that drop trailer load near the house. Then pick it up Monday. You're good to go. Make sure you get paid for it, though. Christmas falls on a Monday this year, so easy this year, 3-day weekend. Yes. I hate it when it's on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. That's when it gets all jacked up. Come on, what if they made an anti-Buc-ee's decals put on a trailer? I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't know if there's a company I dislike more. You can create your own stickers. There are many sources to do that. Come on, when everyone loves trucks, they just don't know it because we do too good of a job delivering everything, right? So you want to protest with me at the new one near Springfield? Let's see if they arrest us as well. Man, you're on the fast track to get arrested, man. I don't think I want to play that game. I own too many tools to play that game, so I don't need to be on any kind of watch list. So, but anyways, all right. So this is your van. Let's take a look at reefer, and let's take a look at the Pacific Northwest and what it's got going for you. Let's look at Washington here. Evidently, Axel didn't get the memo on this load, so let's take a look at highest rate here. 7,500. We looked at that one earlier. 7,000 to go to Front Royal, Virginia. South Carolina, you avoid some snow. That might be in tolls. That might be worth the $500. Not too many, in less miles too. So that I would almost take that run. Because you're not getting a good rate out of South Carolina or Pennsylvania. So I'd take this run. That's a strategy. So I'll take this run for 7,000 over the one for 7,500. Why? Because, well, there's less tolls. There's no tolls on this run. And according to this is 43,000 pounds, and this is 40,000 pounds. So you're going to save on fuel. You're going to save on tolls. Let's take a look. So let's take a look at this one. And let's look at the profit calculator. 80% is what I got. 20% dispatch fee, but that's, your carrier's cut. 6 miles per gallon because it's, whatever. It's winter blend, right? So the total profit is $1.37 a mile or $35.27 after fuel and percentage. Okay. This one's got $216 in tolls. So remember that number, $35.27. We go to this one. Scroll down to the net number, $33.07. So $200. So 7 cents a mile less. But so so yeah, you're making $200 less on the net side. You still got $68 of tolls. So let's take this look at this one in Virginia. Let's take a look at that one. It's considerably less. It's 3,000. So $1.21. So you got 35, 33, and 3,000. But this is $419 in tolls. So that toll thing is a really, really handy tool. Now, if we do this one for 7 going to Georgia, now we're flirting with the Georgia market, which we all know is they're not paying really good to get out of there. But let's take a look at the net on this one. 34.34 with 0 toll costs. What's the weight on this load? 42,000 pounds. So you're not really saving much on weight. But see, that's you got to look at this net number. And sometimes it's worth that that less $100, $200 to avoid tolls, to avoid fuel, or to avoid the Northeast issues, right? So that's you don't just want to find the highest number and wonder why you're not making any money. You want to look at all these different elements, right? So obviously, Northwest is paying better than it has in quite a while. So let's take a look at Oregon. Oregon's lit up. Highest paid load is posted rate. These are all posted rates, by the way. $8,000 to go from Fall Creek to Florida. $263 a mile. 3,000 miles. So that's some hard running. You better have a fresh clock. If you're sitting in Fall Creek with a fresh clock and you've got a steady way to get out of Florida, this might be a good run for you. A lot of stuff. Here's one Conklin, New York from Ontario. 7150. Let's take a look at that one. Picks up today. What's the toll on this one? $88. That's not bad. What part of New York City is it going? Oh no, it's not. It's a little bit upper. So we can glance at that map and know it's not New York City. So there you go. 7,000 to go to. So you're getting just as good of rates coming out of Oregon as Washington. So now let's take a look at Idaho. Sort this by highest rate. Because I can do rate per mile, but that's going to put you in California and Colorado. So I'm looking for the big money because I want to run all week, right? I don't want to deal with Thanksgiving. So Bethlehem, PA. Let's take a look at that one. 7,000, 41,000 pounds. Frozen. A lot of frozen food comes out of this area. Look at 36. You're $1.50. So you're netting more on this load than you were the other load. Toll cost is $171. So even above the tolls, that's still. I'll just avoid the tolls. Oh. Have you ever tried to avoid the tolls in Pennsylvania? It's a pain in the butt. I-68. That's a lovely road, especially when you're 45 plus. So, and they're in the pretty much all East Coast, right? Let's take a look at Utah. Utah's green. Let's take a look at what Utah's got going on. A little bit lower rates. Let me do the highest rate here. Oh, they're still about the same rate per mile, if not a little bit higher. So again, all going to the southeast. A couple of Connecticut's in here, northeast, New York, Tully, New York, $5,000 from Salt Lake. Ogden, Utah to Hammond, Louisiana, 257 a mile, 4,600. Not in love with that one. But Greenville, North Carolina, that wouldn't be too bad. Out of Logan, 42,000. Here's one for 22,000 going to Plant City, Florida, which ain't too deep. It's Tampa area. Way above Cargo Chief, so when's it pick up? Picks up today, delivers Monday. So if you live in Florida, this would be a good one. Deliver this load on Monday. See if you can't get a Georgia to Florida for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then go home. So, and then Arizona's green. Let's take a look at their freight. We ain't gonna look at California. Oh, no, that's rate per mile. Let me do this. Rate. Now, here's the interesting. So 275. So definitely a lot lower than Washington and Oregon and Idaho and Utah. But let's do the highest rate per mile. This is that two-step action that you can take. So Kingman to Fresno, Mesquite, Denver, of course. Oh, they got 275 a mile, 7,500 go to Connecticut out of Yuma. Dallas, Groveland, Florida. I was hoping to see a lot of like stuff going back to Washington, Oregon, Idaho on the short haul side, but apparently I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot, so just keep that in mind. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. A lot of stuff going to Texas, Jessup, Maryland for 237 a mile. That one's going to have a lot of tolls. Let's take a look at that one. Oh no, I was wrong, man. I don't know how to map. So evidently they've mapped it to where you don't need the tolls. So that's good. All right, going back to the comments here. Of course, the stock market's going to continue to climb. You honestly think these companies are going to give truthful outlook next couple quarters? I don't know. It's hard for me to go down to my local Walmart or Trucks Park all the time for the pilot in drums or in pist. Dude, I can't even read that. I don't understand why Buc-ee's don't want truck drivers at their establishment, because it costs more to run a truck stop. There's fuel tax that you got to deal with. There's reinforced concrete, and then you got to pay the employees to clean up after guys that take showers in sinks. Zero till cost is great. If your percentage, the carrier gets 20% of the tolls every time. If I were president, I'd make tolls free for trucks. Yeah, that won't happen. Last month, Buc-ee's founder son was arrested after discovering he installed hidden cameras in the bathrooms. Yeah, they're such a good company. That's funny. I mean, it's sad, but it's funny that people still do things like that with all the free stuff you can get in that direction. Oh, there it is. Why do I have to pay a public tax for miles driven on a private road? Will Burner, what's up? Saw you up and around doing your live feed thing the other day. That load to Bethlehem should be paying a minimum of $8,000. Should. But why isn't it, Jackknife? How come it's not? What makes it should? You're going to get CDN all fired up. Someone said it earlier. We truckers ruin for ourselves because we trash every lot we've been allowed in. I said that too. Respect your fellow drivers and clean up after yourself. KNX, $42 puts. There you go. Ponzi giving you the stock, and he knows the stock market. Trust me. It only takes one driver to leave his junk or garbage in a truck stop that only holds 100 trucks to ruin it for everyone. This is a good example of the actions of the few, screw of the many. Yes, that is absolutely true. We hear it, we see it, yet nothing is done other than bitch about it on the interwebs. Put a camera in some dude's face and hope that he doesn't, have a firearm on you. So, because idiots are taking it because they don't know any better. At least that's what I'm hoping. Okay. Jackknife, you make my head hurt sometimes. With all due respect, dude, you just. Why should it pay $8,000 at least? And why is it not now? Do you not understand the concept of supply and demand? You just told us earlier in the feed that Tyson is expecting a major slowdown after Thanksgiving. So that means there's less loads for all your trucks. And the shippers can take advantage of that because their goal and their number one goal is to get their costs down, especially in this economy. So when you tell a shipper, hey, that should be paying $8,000, you have to give them reasons of why it should $8,000. There's been some very smart people on YouTube that have told you this. And I like there was a time where that paid $10,000. And look where that's got us. Too many trucks trying, undercutting you to survive. Cost. What is the cost to go across from Washington to Pennsylvania? Well, fuel. So let's go back to that. Right. This is the load that he is talking about. Well, fuel at 6 miles per gallon, because you might have a piece of crap truck. It's going to be $1,700, 17, 16, 20 to be exact. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 22.56. Then you got your fuel, and then you got your percentage. Now, if you got your own authority, you can eliminate this percentage, this 20%. $216 in tolls. So you sit there like, hey, I like that 7,500, but can you throw in another $250 for tolls? Or give them this exact number. Well, tolls are exactly $216.20. And if the broker's worth their weight in salt, they'll see that, accept that if they can get leverage from their customer, and they might do that. That might be like, hey, that was great. And so now you're making that 75 on top of your tolls. The tolls are paid, right? But then they're going to go, you know what? This ain't that important. I'll find the guy that doesn't know that that's $200 in tolls, who will take it for the posted rate. You guys should have heard the story that Curtis came home with about the crap that driver is dead and the messes they left. It was sickening. I saw a random post on Reddit. What language is should from? That's a foreign word for me. It is. Cost of money ain't going to go down, at least not for you and Ponzi. Jackknife, I got brokers pay me $5.50 to go from southern Missouri to eastern Iowa. Supply and demand is the issue here. It's not good and only going to get much worse come January, February. Tyson lost $450 million in the fourth quarter of 2023. I think that's what Mr. Jackknife should be paying attention to. Low cost of operation is what's going to save people, and no debt. I think that it paid more than 10 grand there for a while. I was running 5,500 from Chicago to Newark, New Jersey, delivering U.S. cold storage. But the Chicago to Newark is a way different lane than Washington to Pennsylvania. So you're only assuming that it's going to be double. That wasn't the case. Look, in the old days, the longer the miles, the less rate per mile it was. Getting short haul rates, long haul was unheard of until 21-22 or 2021. So those days are gone. So let's say you were getting 12 grand for that same run and it's now 8 or 75. Those days are gone. And they are never coming back because they don't ever want to see that spike. And if you do or can make that kind of money going across the country, the only way you're getting 12 grand to go from Washington to Pennsylvania is if it's food grade, tank, hazmat, that kind of thing. Not from TQL running a spot load of frozen fish. That's the thing. That's the thing that needs to get through all your heads. There is a new normal being created, and you're either going to be left behind or you're going to adapt and overcome. That's your only choices. And if you don't investigate, why is Tyson losing $450 million? No, we just made the assumption, hey, I'm going to buy a $3,000 a month truck or $4,000 a month truck to haul Tyson freight because people got to eat, right? Well, yeah, they're going to pick the cheaper brands because things are so high. Yeah, people got to eat, but you know what? They might eat less. Or maybe they're spending their extra grocery money on McDonald's. Well, does Tyson supply McDonald's? No. So this is the thing. Oh, we used to get this, we used to get that. Those days are gone. Those days are done. Go to DAT trend lines and you'll see that. And if you're not prepared, you're going to die. Here's the thing. So e-logs, right? 2017, they made e-logs mandatory. Now I knew from my experience by going to an e-log company in the early days that I knew that was going to affect revenue because it affected my company's revenue I was at. I knew that e-logs were going to do that. And so when it came time to make them mandatory, all these owner operators literally waited till 11:59 that night to switch over. And all they did was get online and they bitched and bitched and bitched about, for the 6 months before the mandate date was happening. They griped and they griped and they griped and they griped. They weren't adapting. They thought that they could make the change, but the powers that be that are more powerful than you and I are going to make these changes whether you like it or not. Right? So if you switched at 11:59 on that very day to the e-logs, the people that saw what was coming down the line and saw that there's nothing you can do about it, they did it begrudgingly. A lot of people were like, well, I guess we got to do this. This is what we're doing now. Those people started adapting early. And so at midnight that day, they had an upper hand versus the people that waited to the last minute to switch over. They'd already made their adjustments to their operation. They'd already made their adjustments on how they handle shippers and receivers. They already made their adjustments of what kind of hits to the revenue. The smart ones did, right? Versus the people that cried and bitched and joined these echo chambers and went out in Washington and spray painted their trucks saying the government sucks, quit changing things, in the whole 9 yards. Meanwhile, the people that quietly adapted became the masters. It's the same thing. And I don't know about you, but if I had a $4,000 a month truck note, I'd be scared crapless right now. Because there's many elements that are being implemented that are going to make that unsustainable. And that's something to keep in mind. Now, it doesn't mean your life's over. It doesn't mean that you're going to lose your truck. But what it does mean is that you better be figuring things out pretty quickly so they don't affect you. Because these changes are coming whether you like it or not. Just like the e-logs. And if it doesn't get that bad, then you're sitting pretty anyways. Now you're more efficient. Now you're less fearful. Now you have less anxiety. That's the positive part of it. If you have fear today, you have to recognize that, and you have to be honest with yourselves and figure out, why do I have fear right now? Oh, because I got too many bank loans out there, or I got too many maxed out credit cards, and if things get worse than they are now, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, then that creates anxiety. So now you have to figure out what you are going to do. Let's liquidate. Let's sell off some equipment. Let's pay off some credit card debt. Let's get a second job. Because if Tyson's laying off people, if Amazon's taking over all the other shipping companies, freight, you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to overcome. And most of you won't get out of your own way. The old school trucking spirit is on life support. And, yellow proves that the dinosaurs are going away. That's the harsh truth. And the minute that you guys can be honest with yourselves, now you can start to heal. The truth will set you free. So this used to pay this. Dude, I used to get $1,500 to go from Rogers, Arkansas to Sedalia, Missouri. Anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. Then I used to get anywhere from $750 to $1,000 to go from Kansas City to Springfield. 150 miles. You know what those loads are paying now? $450, $550, $650, $7 if we're lucky. It does me no good to sit there. Oh man, it was so awesome when I was able to do that. Man, it was great, man. I got $1,200 to go from Sedalia. It was such an easy run. $1,200. Oh my gosh, I could make $1,000 a day just going from Rogers, Arkansas to I was never more than 200 miles away from the house. It was so awesome, man. That was great. I'm gonna bask in that. And meanwhile, my check engine light comes on because I'm not addressing the problem. man, my check engine light, man, if I was still making that $1,000, man, I could fix this problem, man. It would be no problem. I wouldn't be sweating and going to MHC carrier that's paying, $250 an hour. No. You gotta address that problem. You gotta face it. Aggression turns the screws. And sitting there reminiscing about how much money we used to make 2 years ago, that's not going to help you. And I guarantee you that there's brokers and there's carriers that are still making that kind of money. They just ain't bragging about it on YouTube. They ain't going to tell you their secrets. Why? Because they don't want you to come in and undercut them. Nathan says, I keep hearing that there's too much capacity, and that's why everything is down. So more drivers need to get out of the way for things to improve. And that's going to happen. Although loads with toll costs included can be a benefit if the driver takes alternative routes, non-toll, if time allows, it makes sense. Everyone wins. Now, the strategy is this. So you can calculate the tolls being like, let's say $100. But then if you avoid the tolls, it's only $75 in extra fuel. I'm probably, to save time, going to pay that extra $25 to just run the toll road. So it requires doing math, and most of you guys don't do math. So, Trucking with Liberty, exactly. 2024 and beyond will be all about low cost to operate, because that's what the shippers are doing. That's what the brokers are doing. That's what the customers are doing. That's what Amazon did. And look how that turned out. Hey, man, I enjoy this free Prime shipping. I don't think they do that anymore, but yeah, at the cost of losing UPS and FedEx and post office jobs. It's changing. We talked about that early in the Speed Ponzi about why. Yeah, they are running less, though. The paid off or low payment trucks with low income, with low home expenses are going to be the winners. Math is hard. Also, having secondary income, right? Like a spouse that works, that's going to help tremendously. Do a cost benefit analysis of buying a used tractor on the cheap with an average maintenance of $500 a week versus current situation, right? Al Trucker or intermodal company I work for just lower rate for second time this year. Yeah, because they see what's coming down the line as well. Smoking the man at rates are finished, sadly, right? Agree, Tennessee. Anybody that doesn't have their fixed costs as low as humanly possible and a firm grasp of their variable costs is in for a bumpy ride 2024 now. But on top of that, not recognizing trends, not recognizing what's coming down the line. That's the other thing. A lot of people are blindsided. We got to realize that out of millions of truckers, there's only a small percentage of us watching YouTube. There's only a small percentage of us reading freight waves. There's only a small percentage of us that pay attention to the news. And so by educating yourselves, that gives you the upper hand. Just like speaking clear English to a broker is going to give you the upper hand to the people that can't. You should get a cowboy hat. Says, come on with it. About the Tyson closing plants and stuff and losing money. I find it hilarious. Tyson closes the Glen Allen, Virginia plant and then open a brand new plant in Danville, Georgia. Well, there's a reason for that then. Maybe the facility was too old. Maybe they get a tax break. Maybe Danville, Virginia is like, hell yeah, bring it over here, man. We'll give you a big tax break and save your costs, save on your costs, save on your taxes, save on your, the labor pool here is a lot cheaper than maybe the labor pool in Glen Allen. For some reason, there's no fanfare about them opening the Danville, Virginia plant or any real articles on it. That same lane, Chicago to Newark, is probably paying like $2,800 now today, Snorelord. Again, massive companies like Tyson have a unique outlook than we do. They're all about the long term. Exactly. They're not looking at the next quarter. They're already figuring out what's going to happen at the end of next year, if not further. They have people, they have whole offices with cubicles and everything that of these people that their sole job is to predict the future through math. And guess who's included on that picture? The truck drivers. Let's see how much the cost of shipping is. Let's see how much. Let's do our math. Let's get our calculators out and go, oh, if we eliminate this and this, we can eliminate this many drivers. We can eliminate this much per mile shipments. That's going to save the company $1,000,000. Cool. Give me my raise now. They don't care about you. You got to care about you. How about this? Use the rest of November, December 23 to start your business plan over as if 24 is your first year. Create a business plan for 24 to 29, 5-year plan based on current cost operating rates. There you go. That would be smart. Liberty, I'm not even going to read that out loud. that's just, oh man. Everybody agrees. The smart people agree with CDN. Next year, if things are still like they are now, I will have paid off equipment and I will be an owner op somewhere else while leaving my authority active, just paying the insurance. Debt, bigger epidemic than meth. This looks like a scary route, y'all. Buckle up. Have a safe ride today, drivers. Ponzi has got great insight. Trust me on this. Amen to that, CDN. I've actually done a 1-year plan already. See above for the longer term plan. Aggression can also strip the screws. That's true. My secret is partnering with a carrier who has a very solid freight contracts. That's what I'm trying to develop, but it's very difficult. The dropping off of carriers to lessen the added capacity is kind of at a standstill, at least compared to like 2019. Too much money still out there between revenue, 2021 or SBA loans. So that's been explained. The immigrants and the immigrants and refugees that are making lower rates, but are able to survive off that because they're not in $1 trillion in debt. Right? That's part of that change that's happening right now. So if carriers aren't dropping off like flies like everybody anticipates, well, there's a reason. Why is that? Why is it that there's still too many carriers? How are they holding on? Find out how they're holding on. Find out what advantages they have and see if you can get a piece of that. Find out what they're doing differently. Because if not enough carriers are dropping off, then obviously they're doing something right. Or they got an advantage that they're not telling anybody. Or they're shysters. Either way, you got to know what your competition is doing. My clutch ended up at 5,800. Wow, with no profit this year. I can't wait for next year. 5,800 put in a clutch. Wow, yeah. There's a really good analysis that was put out by the CEO of Anderson Transport, ATS. They got the money and backing to forecast the market. They rely on it. Labor alone was $187 for 17 hours. Got the truck 2 weeks later. James is still looking for an owner, operator, or driver. He's got dedicated freight. You live in Michigan area, Indiana? There you go. He's even got a truck. You don't see James G griping online here, do you? Other than can't find a good driver. So there you go. You have to figure it out. Get out of the echo chambers. You know, like the whole Bucky's thing. That okay, lame. It's not even on my radar because that's if it's true what the guy was doing with the bathrooms, that's horrible. But okay, they don't allow truck drivers. I get it. I understand why. It's not worth energy to me. It's not worth energy going, Bucky's. It's not worth it because there's so many other things that we need to be concerned with. There's so many things in the trucking industry, in the truck stops that are going against you. You got people stealing fuel. You got people stealing parts off of trucks. You got people damaging trucks and running away. You got people doing their 30-minute prayer breaks in the fuel island. You got people that leave their pee bottles right there, right where you put your fuel card in. You got people that literally go in and sit down at Denny's in the fuel island and sit down and have a meal. You got people that will park in front of you overnight and block you in so you can't get out at 3 in the morning because they don't care about you. They only care about themselves. And these truck stops don't care about you. They only care about themselves. These shippers don't care about you. They only care about themselves. And that's something that you have to have in your head. You might find a shipper that sympathizes with your costs and you work closely with them to make sure that you guys get a good balance of shipping cost and truck costs. But for the most part, those relationships are hard to find, especially when you're an antisocial jerk that's narcissistic that only cares about things that don't matter. That was a mouthful. There you go. James was a contractor. James G was a contractor here at Like Trucking. He had a Schneider finance truck. That's where we all knew each other from, was Schneider. He paid it off and then went to Like Trucking, which is the smart way to do that. And then he did well here. And then during COVID, he had to make some adjustments. Boom. Now he's got a direct customer. So he got his own authority. Now he's doing well. To the point that he needs a second truck. He needs a second driver. He figured it out. He took all the headaches and all the hurdles and he figured it out. And here he is on YouTube. He's not bitching about Buc-ee's. He's not bitching about Tyson. He's sitting there wanting to get somebody. The only thing he's griping about is he can't find a driver to do the freight that he worked hard to get. So he wouldn't have to rely on TQL giving you half the money that they used to 6 months ago. Right? He figured it out. CDN says, mark this episode and replay in 4 months to see if everyone adjusted their situation. That's a good idea. Dan's Hotshot says, Laura Snores is on a roll this morning. Well, it's the beard, right? You've got a beard. I've got a beard. We get on rolls, right? So I appreciate that. But I mean, look, it's painful to watch owner-operators struggle for me. It's painful to watch people just that can't get out of their own way and figure things out. It's painful to watch good people get taken down by a huge repair like what Jose just represented. It is painful to see people struggling. People are happy when someone goes out of business or people are happy when someone files bankruptcy. Yeah. I have sympathy for these people, even if they caused it themselves. There's too much misery in this world. And if you're struggling right now, you have to recognize why you're struggling. And most people just aren't being honest with themselves. I every week I have a sheet, a physical piece of paper that I track all the loads that I book, that I track all the and what I do is I tally up each driver's revenue for the week, and then I tally up what they're actually taking home. And so I'm seeing the numbers in real time. When Jackknife talks about loads that used to pay 10 grand are now paying, 8 grand. I see that. I've seen that in the last 2 years I've been doing this. And so I know that people are struggling, even if they're not honest with themselves. And if your debt ratio is too high, you're going to be in trouble. If you have no credit, you're going to be in trouble. If your truck breaks down and that's the only thing you're relying on, you're going to be in trouble. These are standard business practices that are true whether in a good market or a down market. And the bad thing about the good market that we had 2 years ago is that it was so amazing that you didn't have to pay attention to that. You could get a high mileage truck with a high payment and still make it. And that was the downfall. It was so easy for everybody to get in. Everybody, it's like it's like parasites. Everybody wants a piece of that pie. But the powers that be that got more power than a single truck driver is going to take that pie and they're going to keep it for themselves and give you the scraps. That's corporatism for you, and that's what we're smack dab in the middle of. And trucking it's trucking's turn. The electronics industry went through this here. I mean, you don't have TV repairments anymore. You got disposable TVs. A lot of big companies like Sears, Circuit City, all these big companies are changing, or they're going under, or they're being bought out. Amazon and Walmart are taking over the world. Walmart company drivers make $126,000 a year. You would think that people would be flocking to that, but they're not. Being an entrepreneur is a difficult path, regardless of what industry you're in. I love being an entrepreneur. I love trying to figure out numbers and what can I do for the next buck that puts me in control. In order to do that, I have to pay attention to my surroundings. I have to pay attention to my industry. I have to pay attention to what's going on. And I have to keep costs as low as possible so I can be flexible, so I can pivot, so I can liquidate when needed, and not put myself in a situation that I lose the house if the truck goes belly up. And I know people that have done that. I told my wife I would never give you the phone call that, hey, we're losing the house because my truck sucks. We have to move. I told her when I bought a truck that was never going to happen. Goal accomplished. Because I know how painful that would be to my wife and kids. And so I made sure that I would never put myself in that situation. If that meant bailing, that meant bailing. And I believe that knowing when, like, I believe that if you're going to be ride or die, if you're going to ride this till the very end, at all costs, at least try to minimize those costs. At least figure it out so you can be ride or die, because there are owner operators and companies that are going to last through this. They're going to thrive through this. They're going to flourish through this. And they're not going to be bragging about it on Facebook. They're not going to be bragging about it on YouTube. They might boast, I'm making $4 all miles for long miles. These guys are idiots. They're going to do that. But unless you have the smarts and the willingness to go, hey, how did you do that? How did you accomplish that? If you ever get on a phone conversation with CNN, if you ever complain about anything, he is going to have, the way his brain works is he's going to have a solution for everything that you complain about. He does it in the chat. Wheelburner says, I don't get on a roll. I go on a tirade. Occasionally, I even fly off the rails. I blame it on the beard or the lack of. Yeah, I went there. I could be contacted by georgetrucking@gmail.com. There you go. If your situation is shaky, I contact James G if you're consistent and professional. He is. He's a good dude. I'm planning to add 2 trucks again next year. Come on with it. I just like having fun. It's part of the business. There you go. If we can all go on strike. Oh, geez. You got to be kidding me, dude. I think you're just trolling me at this point. There's no way that's the way you think. After all these times, after all these hard lessons that you've had, there's no way that you're being serious saying that. Please tell me you're being sarcastic. Okay, there you go. Jeez, Jackknife. Gonna get a reaction out of me. That's hard to do. CDN, how about going to your insurance, finance, and regular shop, show them rates are down, whatever percentage versus last year. If you have a clean record, no missed payments, ask your cost to find ways to reduce. That's smart. If your insurance is the highest expense in your authority, then yeah, that'd be one of the first things I'd be doing. Hey, how can I save money? Hey, why is my renewal like twice as much as last year? Well, because you had 4 out of services. Oh, okay. Oops. that's how a lot of the conversations are going to go. My God, we're almost at 2 hours today. So, anyways, there's your reefer market. Let's look at flatbed. And we'll throw in step deck just for grins. Just for grins. Jackknife is joking, 100% joking. Look at that. Oh, that's an interesting looking map. No yellow, 2 yellows. That's it. Everything else is red or green. Montana's a better market than Missouri. How's that? 182 outbound, 66 inbound, and then Missouri is at 58 outbound and 241 inbound. Wow. Texas, 319 outbound and 783 inbound. 328 intrastate. So great Friday live show. Thank you. Come on with it. Funny thing you say that, CDN. I did do that with my shop, and they gave me advice on how to lower my bill through them. Mostly would be buying the parts myself and bringing them in. CDN says, great show today. Get out there and be active more than other days this weekend. I think I will. My wife's been working on clearing the fence on the side here. Let's get rid of this. You guys don't want to see 123 low burn anymore. And 48065, by the way, if you want to try out the low board for free for 30 days and then $35 a month for premium with all the tools that we've demonstrated here today and then some that I don't demonstrate. So make sure you use the code 48065. And if you like it, cool. If not, then at least you tried, right? So I make a little bit if you keep it. I don't make anything if you don't. So but anyway, she's been working on the side. There's a couple of we've been redoing the fencing behind our house after the garage break-in, and then I think there's a couple of things we got to do outside. I got to mow the leaves, right? Some of the grass is tall, but I got to mow the leaves and then treat the fuel in the tanks of the mowers and stuff. And so probably do that this week. The weather's been kind of decent. It's cloudy today, but it's been kind of warm. So it's been kind of nice. So I'll probably get that done this weekend. Thank you. Come on with it. There, help a brother out, man. Thank you very much. And it's also in the scroll. If you are interested in joining Like Trucking, go to the website www.liketrucking.com. Make sure you got a good record and you got your feet on solid ground if you want to survive and thrive. You can run your business the way you want, which sometimes that could be a problem. Sometimes people can't handle the freedom that you have. So, Wheelburner says, "Good job today. Very good advice given." Well, thank you, Wheelburner. Again, these are all things that I've witnessed and that I've experienced myself. Don't believe me? Go to my Landstar video. I've learned a lot. I'm seeing a lot. And that's the beauty of being out of the truck is I got more of an aerial view of things, versus what's in front of my hood. And yeah, I'm recognizing a few changes are coming. Just like the Amazon thing that we talked about earlier in this live feed. Go back the first 10 minutes, and you're going to see that the packages are still there. They're just being shipped differently. There is a slowdown. There is, people are tightening their belts. So just be aware of that. So, decline. All right. So with that being said, no, we're not going 3 hours, dude. I'm already too redundant and boring. So we gotta take care of that. Dude, I gotta take care of things. It's not like I live here doing nothing, drinking wine all day. I got to do something here. You sent me something. What'd you send me? You go live, Liberty. Yeah, you go live, Liberty. And I can't believe you're watching me on a 65-inch TV. That is way scary. Like you can see all my nose hairs and everything. Warner's calling. Wants you to start ASAP. He wants to start ASAP. Okay, I am getting off here, so we will take care of it. So, all right. With that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Aggression turns screws. Have a good weekend, everybody, and be good, man. Peace.